Hi guys, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast. So today we are going to be doing Until Dawn, which is one of our favourite games. It's the bread and butter of our channel. And in anticipation of the Quarry, which will be coming out this June, we thought we would revisit one of our favourite games. So as always, we're joined by Jack.
Buongiorno.
And we actually have a guest, Anya. Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, this is very exciting for the channel. It's the first guest we've had. And also, it shows people that I know more than one human being. So yeah. I actually know two, so screw you.
That's the limit, though.
Yeah, no, like that. You guys are the only people I know. And my cat, obviously, but yeah. Okay, so Until Dawn. So Jack, tell us about how you found out about this game.
I think this was it must have been probably like 2014 or so, first year of university, and I saw this article on Facebook from the Gaming Bible, and I'm pretty sure it was just like a picture of like the Psycho. It was like this new horror game, and then I clicked on it, and it was sort of about, you know, making choices, and that it was going to be more sophisticated than the telltale branching of like the narratives, and it just sounded really intriguing to me. On top of that, you've got really good graphics as well. And then literally the year after, I remember you were telling me about it, and then you like showed me the game, and I thought it was absolutely amazing, and it still remains as one of my favourites of all time. So yeah, like really happy that we're doing this on the podcast now.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was second year as well that we finally got to sit down in your uni house, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and yeah, it was. I really get a kick out of people freshly playing the game, seeing their choices. You can learn so much about someone's psychology on what choices they pick, I feel. So, Anya, how about yourself? How did you find out about Until Dawn?
Honestly, I don't actually remember. My best guess is probably like this was like the era of my life where I'd like watch a lot of Let's Plays and people putting out games and playing it, blah blah blah. And Until Dawn is probably one of like the best games that you can Let's Play because everybody is going to do it different. But I was like, yo, that looks cool. Yo, that's Hayden Panettiere. Yo, that's that girl from Camp Rock. I'm in. And yeah, it just kind of, I agree, it's still one of my favorites of all time. It's had a chokehold on me ever since. She's iconic. We love her. And it was just kind of like up my alley with like horror and making choices. Because I was also playing games like those Telltale games, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think the point you mentioned about how everyone has a different game, I think that's one of my favourite things about this style of game, the fact that someone can just play it, and then instead of sharing exactly what happened, you discuss your choices, and then you talk about how your game was different to your friends, which I absolutely love. And here's a fun fact. The fact that the way Anya and I actually met was through an Until Dawn group, wasn't it?
I was going to mention that. I was just like, it gave us like one of the coolest friend groups.
Yeah, we were like, I actually missed that group back in the day. There was 8 of us. We met on the Until Dawn wiki. Because in the early days when I played this game, my elder brother introduced it to me because he knew how much I loved the Telltale games. And I was just so obsessed with this game, and none of my friend group played it, and I had to just unbuttle all my opinions, and so I seeked an online group, and I guess I found Anya and, you know, everyone else in that group, and yeah, so we've been talking ever since, haven't we, about these styles of games, and now you're on the podcast. So.
But yeah, that wiki chat was popping.
Oh, it was, yeah. I want to revive it. But yeah, so we're not going to talk too much about what happens in the game, because if you're listening, we're sure you've seen it or played it. But Jack, what were your thoughts when we first started with that Hannah and Beth intro?
Yeah, like it was a really good introduction to the game. Obviously, as well, you're positioned as the player to like really feel sorry for Hannah, because obviously they're all playing a prank on her because she really is into Mike, and you know, so straight away it sort of sets up that typical teen horror situation where, you know, you don't actually like many of them right off the bat, and maybe you have to sort of get to like them over the course of the game. But as well, it sets up so many things here that I really liked. So you get this one particular shot of the stranger where you can just see like this machete sort of come across the screen, and it sets up that it's going to be a typical slasher You've also got the introduction to the music for the first time. It's sort of, again, that sense of dread and that sense that, you know, something is, you know, about to happen. And, you know, again, it's served brilliant as well as for a tutorial, because you have sort of, you're moving the analogues, picking up items, you know, you see what totems do for the first time. So actually there's a lot more going on in this opening section.
No, I agree, because it hints to strangers, but you also have like the cameras sweeping through the trees, and it already off the bat throws off so many like potential theories at you and what could be going on. So Anya, I'll move on to you. So one of the first choices is it, do you let go of Hannah or Beth even, or do you try and pull her up? What did you pick there?
I think the first time I did it, I tried to like save the both of them. I'm like, I'm not gonna drop my sister. Like, I ran out here in the middle of the night, so like, we're going down together, baby. But then like the second time I did it, I think, especially like during my bad choices playthrough, I'm just like, see ya.
And just a savage decides to drop her. Like, yeah, bye, Felicia.
It's not gonna matter.
You're dead no matter what, love. Like, see you later.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, really strong intro, and then it transitions into our first. Right, in my notes here, I've written down the curator, but he's not the curator. He's Dr. Alan, Dr. Hill. So I used to be a big Prison Break fan, and this actor is from that show, so I think he plays the role really well. The doctor, who's just really unsettling, and he gives you these psychology therapy tests. They're questionable how they only last 5 minutes, like I don't know what I'm actually paying for as the player. But yeah, they're just really brilliant, and it gives you this impression that it allows you to tailor your horror game. If you say you're scared of spiders, they'll throw a spider in it. If you're scared of clowns, they'll make a certain pop up a clown rather than say a scarecrow. I just thought it was a really neat touch. So yeah, Jack, what did you think of these sequences with Dr. Hill?
I really like these sequences, and this might be a controversial view or not, but I actually prefer him to the curator. Like, since going back through Until Dawn, there's just so much quality there, and one of the things you touched on was how you really don't know if he's like a friend or a foe, and I really like that ambiguity, whereas with the curator it seems a lot more on the nose. Like, this guy is actively trying to help you out, he's giving you clues left, right and centre. But yeah, like, you have this whole situation where like he's an analyst and he's trying to read you, and I think that's just such a clever way of trying to gauge the player to pick what their fears are, because they can obviously, you know, the developers can exploit that later on in the game. And in particular, in, you know, as far as like the Scarecrow postcard, like, do you remember what you guys picked, like whether you thought, you know, it made you happy or whether it scared you?
Personally, I can't remember what I picked. I think I said I was scared of the Scarecrow, but I thought the barn was peaceful. How about you, Anya?
I think that's what I did, because I was like, it looks nice, you know, nice and sunny, quiet. It's just the Scarecrow is a little
yeah,
unnerving.
Yeah, because he then
like,
goes,
oh, I'm terrified.
Yeah, because he then goes, doesn't he? He says, what if I then tell you that the barn was haunted? And then that sort of, you know, pushes you one way or another as well, like, more likely that it's going to sort of terrify you. But overall, a brilliant introduction to that character. And there's going to be points that I'll touch on later on that I think he's, as a character, he's built into the game brilliantly. And the fact that he was a last-minute addition, I think he was so well worth it.
Yeah, because I read a rumour that the game was going to be released on like 4 occasions, and they kept delaying it, and the final delay was because they wanted to add these sequences in, and I'm so glad they did. Like, I think sometimes patience is a virtue, and it's shown by this, because I'm not saying the game would be bad without him, it's such a nice bonus layer. But yeah, sorry, Anya, were you going to say something there? I think I cut you off.
Yeah, like, no, it's okay. What Jack was saying about how he kind of likes Dr. Hill better than the curator. It's like, yeah, I kind of agree with that, because the curator is more just kind of like this force that only you really interact with. But then, like, Dr. Hill himself is, like, actually integrated into, like, the story and, like, the real life of, like, the characters as well. And, like, you can find, like, stuff about him where you're just like, oh, this is a whole ass real person. And you just like, I like the subtle changes that it allows like you to make to your game with like the clown and the spider stuff.
Yeah, great. And I'd have to say, actually, the Curator versus Dr. Hill would actually make a really brilliant video avenue to explore, Jack. So yeah, just a little footnote there.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah. So we then transition into the music intro of the series, "Oh Death" by, I think is it like Amy Van Rourke or O'Rourke or something. Yeah, I'll move to you first, Anya. What did you think of this opening theme?
Dude, a banger. Really just like sets the tone and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's just
This
so
is
massive
rocking.
as well that they added it for all the other games as well, because they
Yeah, I
just
was
stuck
gonna
with it
say.
that much.
And they do different variations of it each time, and it's like, yo, I think like House of Ashes, I think had the most like rockin' one. I was like, yo, what's up? But then like I like how Until Dawn is just like more haunting.
Mm,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, a lot more solemn.
How about you, Jack? What did you think of the theme?
I really liked it as well. And I don't know if we've actually crossed this yet, but I think this sort of pre-title sequence, the song, and even like the whole introduction, with the butterfly effect, and it tells you that the choices you make matter and stuff. It really just adds like a cinematic quality to this game, and I still feel that although they have done this in the Dark Pictures, it's still head and shoulders above those games so far. And yeah, like again, sort of like as the theme goes, like Anya said, very haunting, and it sets the tone brilliantly for what you're about to play.
Fun story as well, actually. I played this game around about Christmas time, and every Christmas, my older brother would just request songs, and because it's family, it usually has to be quite upbeat and light-hearted. But because I was just so obsessed with Until Dawn, this "Oh Death" song was the only song I was listening to, and I begged to request it, and you would just have like, I don't know, like Mariah Carey, "All I Want for Christmas Is You," a bit of Slade, and then yeah, just out of nowhere, "Oh Death" comes on, and like my parents would be like, "Liam, what is this?" Ruining our Christmas dinner with "Oh Death." Just not a very Christmassy song, but I really didn't care. Now that
To be fair, Until Dawn has snow.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, there we go. I defend my points.
Yeah, that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Similarities.
Of course. So then we get into the nitty gritty of the game, and we meet our first character, Sam. And hang on, 2 seconds. I've got a fucking foot cramp. I've been holding on for like 30 seconds trying to resist the pain, but I can't. I'm just gonna need a minute where I just bend my foot backwards. Oh, guys, man down. I got a foot cramp. Oh, it's like a football game where I'm like lying on the ground. I need teammates to lift a leg and like they're doing sports though. I'm sat in a gaming chair. It's embarrassing. Okay, and then we move on to the main game where we meet our first character, Sam. So I'm sure we're going to probably do a separate video where we do like a character list where we talk about who we prefer the most. But I will just sort of say it as a general thing. Jack, what did you make of Sam? As kind of almost like, there's not really a main character, is there? But I guess if you had to say someone was, you probably would argue for Sam. So yeah, what did you think of her?
Yeah, I do. I think that she sort of represents the most level-headed member of the sort of the group, and I think it was almost fitting that it starts with her. But there's one thing I wanted to say, like regarding this bit in general, because she sat listening to the radio host, isn't she? That's talking about the anniversary, and she watches this bit where she's watching Josh, and he's giving this speech, and he's saying, "I can't wait to share moments with each and every one of you, and I really want us all to have a really good time." And obviously, knowing where the story goes from here on in, I was sort of looking at that and I was thinking, wow, you could see that as quite sinister. Like, the character that sort of Josh becomes later on in the game. Spoiler alert, by the way. Like, you should know this by now. We just throw spoilers out there every now and then. that it was just it was really intriguing, and they do this a couple of times in the build up to that reveal in episode 5, I think, or episode 6.
Yeah, it's pretty geniusly done in my opinion. I actually really like it, and the replayability is really interesting. When you look back at the quotes like that, I do agree. So as we're walking on with Sam, you can pick up a totem, and these totems are going to be a thing that are going to be quite important throughout, not just Until Dawn, but the rest of Supermassive games, with like the picture frames and stuff. Anya, what did you make of the totems as an addition to the game features?
I thought they were pretty neat. It was like a nice way to kind of give you hints on like what could happen, what you should do, without like being completely disruptive to the game. Like, characters don't make anything much of it. It's more just like for you, the player, which is like, and they're nice and quick, you know, and they're another thing to like look for and collect, so you get an excuse to walk around and find things. But I liked them, and I liked how they grouped it up. Like, white is like, guidance or whatever, and black is death, and you should avoid that. So then like you can go forward like, oh, I remember this, I recognize this can be bad news bears if I don't do this right. So then you have to like think ahead of time, you have to remember what you've seen. And I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you guys, how forensic did you go when you were looking at the totems? Because I don't know about you, but with myself, I would see, for example, one of Emily burning in flames, and then I would think, okay, Emily has to avoid fire, and I would like really go over the top with my analysis looking at these clues. Jack, were you a proper forensic guru watching the totems?
I was. Like, I'd go back to the menu as well. And actually, it's funny you should mention that particular one. I'm pretty sure it comes in episode 2. It's this bit, yeah, I think Emily, you see her with fire, and then literally seconds after that, Josh gives you this lighter, and he's, you know, going to... and he then suggests, use the deodorant, use the deodorant can. I'm sort of sat there thinking, do I really want to do that? So yeah, like I did look at the totems quite a bit. Some of them like were really difficult to decipher though, like what was actually going on. But on the whole, they're just a really good addition to the game because it just sort of, again, like Anya said, it sort of gives little hints, but they're short and snappy. You don't have to sort of sit there and linger with them for too long.
Yeah, and if you don't want to pick it up, you don't have to. If you want to just go completely balls to the wall.
I like that as well because it means it can take you 12 hours to complete the game, but it might take you 14 or 10. Like, you can really actually moderate your pace with it depending on how you pick up the totems and whatnot. So we're not going to go through every choice, but one of the first ones is when you see Chris's bag, and you can either close it or snoop when you hear his phone going off. Jack, what did you choose?
I was sensible. I was a good boy. I just closed the bag.
Anya?
Oh, I snooped 100%.
Oh, I snooped. Jack, you're a good person, not like us.
I was like, ooh, he's getting a text from a girl.
I just was like, oh, it could be an emergency, I better answer it. And then he like had a go at me. I was like, oh, fuck. And then the relationship went down, and that's another feature I really like. I think when you hit pause, you've got the iconic menu where you've got the character's face side on, and you have like their character traits like around, and then you also have the relationship bars with all the characters. I really like this feature personally. I thought it was such a cool menu layout. Were you a fan of it as well, Anya?
Yeah, I really liked just like when I needed to take a breather, I would just pause the menu and I'd just like wiggle their faces around, make them look up, down, left to right really fast, just to like calm myself a little bit and get a giggle before I jumped back into something intense.
Yeah, I forgot you could control the faces actually, and I thought those menus were so iconic actually that I remember back in our Until Dawn group, we actually edited a load of our own, didn't we? And I'm pretty sure
we did.
I'm pretty sure there's one of me like necking a beer bottle with like my relationship like bars of every other like member in the server. It was actually a really cool moment. But yeah, Jack, what did you think of these menus?
Yeah, really handy as well. Just the whole concept of like each character having their unique relationship with one another. It's just a really good thing because it then makes you conscious with every single dialogue thing that you like decision that you make, and it sort of then reinforces that whole thing that every single choice can matter. Obviously, you know, on replays you find out that that's pretty much not the case, but going through, you know, a blind playthrough, that must be so good. And I wish that almost I could be hypnotised and sort of forget everything about the game so I can go through it again.
I said that to you, didn't I? I was so jealous watching you play it. I love watching a fresh gameplay, but what I would give to just wipe my mind and play Until Dawn blind for the first time again. I think it's an actual masterpiece. But yeah, so for me personally, I really like the menus because I think the game comparison I had with a different game would be Telltale's The Walking Dead game. And although I really cherish that game, I must admit that this game is just... I mean, the Telltale games are pale in comparison to what Until Dawn is. The fact that you've got a pause menu and collectibles and you can look at your relationship with the characters. It's not just Sean will remember this for the next 2 minutes before he gets eaten. Or do you want to go through the door or the window when it leads to the same fucking building? Like, these choices actually mattered and they were, like, brilliant. And I remember, like, just how mind-blown I was on my first playthrough. So, yeah, then Sam meets the second character of the game. So, one of our favourites, Chris, who we must mention has the best taste in YouTube channels, by the way.
Butterfly effect.
But yeah, so one of the first choices he can have is shooting a squirrel, I believe. So, Anya, I'll start with you. Did you avoid shooting the squirrel, or are you a sick person?
I did not shoot the squirrel. I was like, that's my little buddy. That's the one I just fed. I can't do that.
Yeah, and how about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, no, I didn't shoot the squirrel either. And I think it was quite good as well, because then, like, shortly after that you get, like, the whole animation with, like, the butterflies, and I was thinking, how on earth does that play out later on? Like, if I shot the squirrel, like, what goes on there? But, you know, it does have relevance, so...
I was going to say, I'll cover it later on when we get to the relevant part, but this initial butterfly choice is probably like the epitome of why I love this game. Just the knock-on effects it has for later chapters and different, characters. If someone tells me, why is Until Dawn such a good game? How do the choices matter? I will use this choice as an example, because the domino effects of sequences which happen are just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we meet more characters, so Emily, Matt, we'll talk about them more as we go along. We meet Ashley as well, and then we get another significant choice where you see Mike hugging Emily, isn't it? Who are a former couple, but not anymore. So I just want to get your guys' opinions on what first time you played this. As Ashley, did you show Matt the potential cheating? I'll start with you, Jack.
Yes, I did. And I know that this could potentially ruffle a few feathers, but I don't like Emily. I don't like her as a character. I knew that would happen. So the thing is, like, I'll go back to something earlier on. In the prologue bit, Jess is sort of like taking the piss out of Hannah, and she's backing Emily up because she's saying, "Oh, you know, this is Emily's man," sort of thing. And then you now find out that Jess is now with Mike, and she's like being really catty to Emily, and you know, obviously naturally Emily's being catty back. And I suppose it's why these two are my least favourite, because they've got the most sort of backstabbing, disrespectful nature about them. I suppose other people might say that, you know, that they're strong and all this sort of thing. So yeah, when I was Ashley, I was thinking Emily seems like a bit of a bitch, so and Mike seemed like a bit of a dick, so I'm going to throw them both under the bus. I'm going to tell Matt.
For me, it was quite the opposite. I didn't show, and in hindsight, as a real person, I think I would show. Like, you're probably going to want to take a look at this. But I think I had such a head-on where I was thinking, we need to survive. I need everyone to be on the same page. I don't want any bad blood. We're about to go through a lot of stuff together. So as Ashley, I was like, there's nothing. Let's move on. So yeah, I think I did it very differently from you there, Jack. How about yourself, Anya?
Yeah, I had the opposite thought process that you did. I was like, I want drama. I want a fight to go down. I just
Nice.
want, I just want petty teenage cat fights.
Well, you do get that later on, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then shit actually gets real, and it's like, none of that matters now, does it?
I was gonna say actually, because these they're still kids, aren't they? Like I think they're in high
Yeah.
school, aren't they? So they're probably about they're supposed to be 17. Like they don't look it, but who does in horror films like of this
like
era?
18 at the most, excluding Josh, probably.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, like yeah, to be honest, it probably would be more realistic if it did go down that way. But yeah,
Good.
so we've met all the characters. Like I guess we have met Josh technically through the little film at the start. But I just wanted to talk about the actors. So Anya, you mentioned it a little bit before. How many of these actors did you know going into this game?
I knew Hayden. I'm such a simp for her. Unrelated, but also kind of related. I was rewatching the Scream movies the other day, and Hayden Panettiere is in Scream 4, and it got me like I was looking at her. I'm just like, oh, that's Sam. She's a queen at the horror genre. I kind of recognized Jess because I never really watched Camp Rock, but like I knew her face. Rami Malek I knew from, what is it, Night at the Museum?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
My God, I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, he's like the
Yeah.
Egyptian guy, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Colt, yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even know that. Fuck.
I don't know if I don't think I was watching like any like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like stuff like that, so I don't know if I recognize Brett Dalton, but I was like, yo, he's pretty. I recognized like Nicole, like who plays Emily after the fact, because I was watching Superstore and I was like, that's her! That's Emily! And she was on Shameless as well with the person who plays Ashley. So, and then Noah, who plays Chris, I don't think he's in like anything. I know nothing about him.
I mean, how about you, Jack? Do you recognise any of the actors?
I suppose technically yes. Now that because I did see Night at the Museum, so I suppose I did see Rami Malek. But going into the game, I didn't know anyone. But I suppose this is where it gets really good for me because, you know, Rami Malek, like, you know, sort of hyping up Rami Malek here, but like he's gone on to do like, such big things, and obviously like he's gone on to play Freddie Mercury. And obviously, like me being a fan of the James Bond films, he's now played as a villain in that. So, like to chart the fact that he was in one of my favourite games of all time, and then he's sort of come out into my favourite film franchise of all time. Like that's pretty cool to see. But in terms of everyone else, no, I didn't know him at all.
Kind of related to like how Rami Malek has gone on to do like a lot of really cool things. Jordan Fisher has as well, like he plays Matt. Because I know like at the time both he and Megan were both just like on Disney movies. But then after, I think Jordan Fisher was also in another Disney show. Then he was on Dancing with the Stars, and I think he won Dancing with the Stars. But he's been killing it lately. He has a good career going at the moment.
Yeah, I saw it as well because I am a massive fan of the violinist Lindsay Sterling. And apparently she went on Dancing with the Stars. So I don't watch the show, but I just wanted to see how she was getting on. And it said, she finished second. So I googled it angrily, like, what bozo beat her? She deserved to win, even though I've never seen it. I don't know if she was awful. And he goes, she lost to Jordan Fisher. I was like, hey, it's Matt from Until Dawn. I'll accept that. That's fine, he can win. But yeah, for myself, so I think I knew 4 of them. So Sam, because I used to watch Heroes when I was a kid. So yeah, I knew Hayden. Rami Malek, Night at the Museum, like we mentioned. I think he was in Twilight as well, actually. So, you know, I will admit that one. And like you say...
he was.
Yeah, he was. He was one of the vampires, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, now obviously he's gone off to do massive things, such as, like we said, James Bond and Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, which is just an absolute brilliant performance. I'm so happy he won an Oscar for that. So yeah, I knew Dr. Hill from Prison Break, and I knew Jess from Mean Girls too, because she's the main character in that.
Oh my god, yeah, she is.
Yeah, so a funny story as well, actually. I remember like one time I had a shift at work that I covered for someone, and I was following the actress. What's her name again? Meaghan Jeanette, is it? What's Meaghan Martin? Is it?
Meaghan Martin.
That's
that
it.
Is her middle name, I think.
Oh, of course, yeah. And she actually came to my hometown in the southwest of England, and she went to one of like our local spots, and she posted it on Instagram, and I saw it, and she did it like 2 minutes ago. I'm like, oh my god, she still might be there, and I was like, but I can't go because I covered someone's shift at work, and I was really upset about it.
Dude, I would cry.
Yeah, I know, right? I could have met Jess, but yeah. So I mean, that's it for chapter 1. Really, it kind of ends in the snowball fight. I guess I'll just end. Did you guys win the snowball fight? It was pretty easy. Shame on you if you say no.
Yeah, I fucking rocked Mike's shit.
Absolutely destroyed Mike.
Didn't even kiss him either at the end.
Oh, I was gonna ask, did you kiss him?
Nah.
I think I did. I was like, yeah, you know what?
I think
have a good time.
Yeah, I think I did because I felt it's like what they would do. But it does sound, guys, like we actually had a lot of variety and choices here, which is very good. Because I'd hate for us all to mirror the same story, even though we all know what happens in the different branches anyway.
Yeah, by the way, one last thing I want to add, was just sort of rewind a little bit. When you're playing as Sam and you first arrive at the like the cable car bit, you wander up to this like poster or map that's got graffiti on it, and it says like the past is beyond our control. And I'm pretty sure, like you'll have to sort of verify this in case I'm wrong, that moments before Dr. Hill says that when you're in like the whole analyst room bit.
Yeah.
So it's just like another example of it's just another example of like how they layered Dr. Hill into the story, and they sort of slowly show how relevant he actually is later on in the game.
Yeah, it's I think it's actually incredible, Dr. Hill, about how they do layer him in, because like we mentioned earlier, there's so many theories. You don't know if he's going to be like the absolute antagonist of the game. You don't know if it's just simply to design the horror elements and what you're throwing in there. There's so many theories around him, and they're really interesting to read. But yeah, so that was episode 1, really. I don't know, did anyone else have any additional comments to make?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, guys. So this was Until Dawn. Feel free to comment, subscribe, do all that, jazz. And yeah, we'll see you for episode 2. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Boom. Butterfly effect.